I am every Islamophobe's worst nightmare as a woman who is Muslim and empowered and loud and proud and from Brooklyn and Palestinian, and I wear a hijab and I run my mouth and I'm on national television and I'm hanging out with you.
Hi, I'm Dylan Marin, and I am here with Linda Sarsour, activist, executive director of the Arab American Association of New York, and one of the lead organizers of the Women's March. Hi, Linda. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Please, it's a true honor. So this has been a pretty busy time for you. You've always been doing activist work, but since the Women's March, a lot has happened, so there is a lot of bullshit to shut down.
A lot of bullshit to shut down.
Well, great. Linda, are you ready to shut down some bullshit?
I am ready.
Okay, great. Intersectional feminism is just stupid liberal jargon.
Intersectional feminism is the only way to go because women are intersectional human beings. We don't live single-issued lives. So you can't cut me up into 10 pieces and expect me to work on my arm separately than my leg. We have to do intersectional feminism, which is why you saw that demonstrated fiercely and clearly at the Women's March on Washington.
The Women's March was great, but it's not going to do anything.
The Women's March on Washington was a continuation of work that has been happening for some for centuries and some for decades in this country. We're not the first people to march and we weren't the last people to march. But it was important to create a catalyst under this new administration. It was just created a spirit of visible activism in a way that we have not seen in a long time.
You can't support Black Lives Matter and Islam and women's rights. You have to pick one.
I absolutely believe that when progressive movements organize together, that we actually strengthen it because I bring my people, you bring your people, that girl brings her people, that guy brings their people. We build power together. And the opposition's united. All their issues are in one bucket together, and they're united around hate and divisiveness and taking the rights of minorities away. So why can't we be united on very basic principles of justice, compassion, and love, which that's what we organize around. So I never understood this concept of like, you know, when we bring everyone together, we dilute the message. No, we build more power together. I think that now the progressive movement has realized that. We woke up, and this is why we're seeing mass mobilization of people that are literally coming from all walks of life and care about different things.
I just don't want to get political.
I'm Muslim, so when I wake up in the morning and I'm breathing, I'm political. I'm like walking politics. Like my religion has been politicized and I feel political and that I have to be political. But generally speaking, we all have to be political. If we are not political, if we are not engaged, then we get Orange Man in the White House. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter.
If you're protesting, you must hate America.
Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. When you protest, when you're pushing your government that's supposed to represent the people to be better, right? To love more people, to respect people's rights. That is what a patriot is. And I do again believe that dissent is the highest form of patriotism.
Well, as a Muslim, you need to condemn terrorism.
When in fact people ask me as a Muslim to condemn terrorism as a Muslim, that request is inherently bigoted. It's basically telling me that I lack the humanity, right? That somehow must support this if I don't say that I don't support it. Like this idea that I can't be given the benefit of the doubt as a Muslim, that this is absolutely outrageous, regardless of who the violence is being committed against. So I do condemn terrorism, but I do it as a human being, not as a Muslim.
So it's not a Muslim ban. It's a ban on some Muslim majority countries.
It is absolutely a Muslim ban. Our president, when he was a candidate, said, I'm going to do a complete shutdown of Muslims. Like he said it, I didn't say it. He started out with these 7 countries, and in reference to even these 7 countries, he said, maybe we'll take the Christian refugees because they're more persecuted than the Muslims. So he did create a preference of one religion over the other. Just because we see these 7 Muslim majority countries doesn't mean that list won't grow. So we have to stop it now before we end up putting every Muslim majority country on the list.
But radical Muslim terrorism.
Muslims are about 1.8 billion people in the world. We are the fastest growing religion. And when you take the actions of a few and you paint with a broad brush a whole entire community, you are alienating 1.8 billion people of the world. So it's really sad every time there's a terrorist attack that Muslims hold their heart and say, please God, don't let it be a Muslim, because people understand the backlash that comes with that. So not only are we horrified by the actual act that happens, but then we have to worry about the retaliation that some of our fellow Americans, and oftentimes the government with their policies, engage against Muslim communities that have nothing to do with these terrorist attacks.
Everything would have been fine if Hillary were president.
everything would not have been fine if Hillary were president. I was planning on going to protest on Inauguration Day, even if Hillary were going to be president. Now, would I have preferred Hillary be the president? Absolutely, because I would rather have Hillary Clinton as my opponent in the White House than for the orange man and a bunch of KKK white supremacists. But we were still killing black people, at the hands of law enforcement in this country. We still have poverty. We were still deporting 1,000 immigrants a day. Our foreign policy was horrific, both under the Bush administration and under the Obama administration. So the problems would have been still there. Now we just have additional problems, and we have exacerbated the very problems we already had before there was ever an orange man or a Hillary Clinton.
If you're pro-Islam, then you must hate Jews.
This one really drives me crazy. I'm a Semite. I am a Muslim who believes in the same God that Jews believe in. So how am I supposed to hate people who believe in the same God that I believe in? Like, how does that even make sense? And I will say that the Jewish American community, in particular progressive Jews, have been the biggest allies of Muslims. We have been working with them for years. They have been our staunch supporters, have stood and put their bodies on the line for our community. So to say that people like you who have worked for justice for all people and have a very clear track record of standing against anti-Semitism within my own community and outside of my community is just ludicrous. And I will tell you that our Jewish friends will say the same, that Muslims have been their closest allies.
What's happening right now is awful, but there's nothing we can do.
Oh, y'all better find something to do. There's a lot of things we can do right now. We have so much we can do. We have to organize, talk to our neighbors, we could be calling our senators. There's so much that we could do. We could donate to organizations, give an organization $20, call an organizer and say, hey, you really working hard out there. Can I take care of your kids? Can I bring you lunch? Like, there's nothing huge about activism. You don't have to be the one, mobilizing thousands of people into the streets. Like, even in your classroom, in your college campus, like, I would be calling on my college campus to basically say that they are a safe sanctuary, that they're going to protect all students. Same thing on your high school. To ask your principal, can they put out a letter to all the students and their parents saying that this is a safe space, that you could be who you want to be here, that we won't allow anyone to come target you at our schools. It's also about personal relationships. Like, if you're a white student, why don't you ask your black classmate, are you good? You all right? I got you. Like, you doing, asking people how they feel, if they need anything. If someone's undocumented, being like, don't worry, like, we're with you, we're together. Those little interactions, anybody can do. And I think those are the most meaningful things to me when someone drops me a text message and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. If you need anything, let me know. So anybody can do that. We all got a role to play. And right now is the time. Fascism is here. And I do not want to be 40, 50 years from now being like, I really sat back and did nothing when fascism was reigning over the United States of America. We all got a role to play, and we got to find it, and we got to play it real fast.